Okay, so once we have this fingered data file open, we're going to first calculate the means and standard deviations for both the shorter half of the class and the taller half of the class. Now, just as a quick refresher, the means give us a number that sort of tells us where about the approximate center of the data is. If we were to try to find a balancing point for our data set, that number is kind of where the data all balances around. The standard deviations, on the other hand, give us a sense of how spread out the data are in our data set. Are they really tightly clustered together, in which case our standard deviation is going to be pretty small? Or are the data points fairly spread out so that there's, really low, really high, lots of in between? In that case, we would see a higher standard deviation. So just running these quick calculations, it'll give us a chance to look at, okay, where's the approximate center with the means for both the shorter half of the class and the taller half of the class? And then also, how are they spread out? Are they spread out about the same? Or is there something weird going on? We're just going to start by eyeballing those descriptive statistics. So to do that, we're going to go to the Descriptives button at the top, click that, and that opens up both the area where we can start to give our input for what we want in terms of the analysis and the figures and so on that we get. It also opens up the output where we'll see the results of what we do in the input. So in this case, we're going to consider thumb length the variable we want to try to explain. Why do some people have short thumbs? Why do some people have long thumbs? Are they, how long are thumbs? Are thumbs all pretty much about the same length, or do some people have really long ones and some short ones? We want to find this out. Okay. So since thumb length is the variable we want to explain, that's our dependent variable. So you can either highlight it and press the arrow button and it'll move to the variables box, or you can also drag it, click and drag. And you'll see that as you do that, the output updates with what you do, right? So here, there's nothing for it to give us descriptive statistics for. Now there's thumb lengths, and if we were to add more information, for example, height in inches, then we could get that information there as well. We could do this for all of our continuous variables if we wanted to. For now, we're really just interested in thumb length. So this is our dependent variable. It's the thing we're trying to explain. And we're going to consider height median split our factor that can partially explain the variation we see in those thumb lengths. And this is also called the predictor or independent variable. So we're going to go for height median split, that's the very last one. And we're going to split this data by the categories in this variable. So in this variable, everybody is coded as either shorter half of the class or taller half of the class. We want to split these values into those two groups. Okay, so we're going to take the split and we're going to split it here. You can see already that our output has updated. Now we have the descriptive statistics. What we're looking for here is our mean and our standard deviation specifically. We can see those for the short half of the class and the tall half of the class. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at these to fill in our means and standard deviations. So for the shorter half of the class, I'm going to read down this column. So the mean I can see in this case is 51.73 for the shorter half of the class. Whereas for the taller half of the class, the mean thumb length is 57.884. Now for our standard deviations, I can see for the shorter half of the class, the standard deviation, the average spread is about is just over 6 millimeters, 6.099 millimeters. For the taller half of the class, it's a little higher. It's a little more spread out. So here the standard deviation is 7.935. And then it's also helpful to note that if you ever need any other descriptive statistics, for example, if you open up the statistics option down below, you can find the median and it adds it to the list. You can add the mode. You can have it just sum up all of them if you want. I don't know, that can be helpful in some more advanced kind of statistics. We can also see the interquartile range, the variance, which again is just the standard deviation squared, right? So if we took this 6.099 and squared that, we would get the 37.203. A lot of these numbers are kind of connected. But here you could find all of that information if you wanted to, right? You can, generally we don't need that much all the time, but it can be helpful in some cases. You can also, we'll see next, create plots of this information here. So next we're going to come to creating histograms, which unfortunately are not named histograms in this case, but are named distribution plots. So that's next.